A single choice is about to tear Jamie Fraser's world apart, one so powerful that it reaches across time, love, and destiny. And according to the leaked whispers from Season 8, Episode 1, that choice begins the moment Jamie opens his eyes. Haunted by a future he can no longer outrun. The episode begins with a quiet, breathless tension. Jamie wakes before dawn, sitting upright as if pulled out of a dream that felt far too real. The room around him is still, but his heartbeat is loud enough to fill the silence. He looks toward the window where the last traces of night cling to the sky, as if even the darkness refuses to let go of him. The leak claims that Jamie has been trapped in a pattern of restless nights, each dream circling back to the same feeling: loss. Loss of home, loss of peace, and maybe even loss of Claire. He rises slowly, the floorboards creaking under his weight, and walks to the table where his belongings are laid out. His hands hover over his old sword, the metal cold and unmoving, yet somehow it mirrors the storm building inside him. The leaked scene describes Jamie touching the hilt like it's an old friend he hoped he'd never need again. This moment makes it clear the war, the danger, the past he tried to bury, they're all finding him again. As he steps outside, the early morning air hits him hard. It carries the smell of smoke from a distant fire, a sign that the world around him is shifting. Jamie looks toward the horizon where the first light breaks. His face tightens, not with fear, but with the heavy weight of knowing that peace was only a pause, not an ending. The leak hints that he's been sensing something coming for days, something that pulls at him with the same force that has always driven his destiny. Then comes the moment that sets the tone for the entire episode. Jamie closes his eyes. He sees Claire's face and flashes her smile, her warnings, her strength. He hears the faint echo of her voice calling his name. But instead of comfort, it only deepens the ache in his chest. The leak says this is the first sign that Jamie's dreams are not only memories, they're warnings, and they're pushing him toward a choice he's not ready to make. When he opens his eyes again, they are different, steadier, harder, as if he already knows that whatever lies ahead will demand everything from him. The dawn rises slowly behind him, but Jamie doesn't turn toward the light. Instead, he stares into the shadows of the forest, where danger waits quietly, and where his life-altering path is about to begin. Something changes in the air the moment Jamie steps back inside the cabin. The leak describes the atmosphere shifting from uneasy calm to quiet tension, as if the walls themselves are listening. Claire moves softly in the background, unaware of the weight Jamie carries on his shoulders, but Jamie feels a tan invisible thread tightening around him, pulling him towards something he cannot yet see. He sits at the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, hands clasped tightly. His breath is slow, but his eyes tell another story. The leak says Jamie has been hearing faint echoes in his dreams, warnings, whispered in a voice that is not entirely Claire's and not entirely his own. A voice that feels like time reaching out to him, not to comfort him, but to push him, to warn him. As Claire begins to wake, Jamie forces himself to look steady. He doesn't want her to see the tremble under the surface. She turns her head toward him with a soft smile, but the moment her eyes lock with his, her expression shifts. She senses it, the tension, the hesitation, the question he's avoiding. Claire has always known when Jamie is fighting something inside himself, and this morning is no different. The leak claims Claire reaches for his hand, her touch grounding him for a moment. She asks if he slept, and Jamie gives the quiet answer she already expects: not well. But the leak suggests Claire reads deeper. She sees the heaviness in his gaze, the distant storm behind it. She asks if something is troubling him, and for a moment, he almost tells her everything. Almost. Instead, Jamie gives her a half-truth. He says the war is weighing on him, that uncertainty is tightening around them again. Claire listens, but she knows his voice. She knows when he is hiding something not from her, but from himself. She squeezes his hand, reminding him that whatever comes, they face it together. The moment is tender, but it only intensifies Jamie's inner struggle. The leak hints that the warning in his dream wasn't just fear or memory, it was a message. A sign tied to a choice he soon must make. One that could protect Claire, or break her heart. As Claire begins her morning routine, Jamie watches her with a strange stillness. Not sadness, almost reverence. The leak says he studies her like a man trying to memorize every detail, afraid that what lies ahead might take him somewhere she cannot follow. The fire crackles. The morning light spreads. But the warning inside Jamie does not fade. It grows louder, clearer, and as the world outside their cabin comes alive, Jamie senses that the moment he's been trying to avoid is finally closing in. And the life-altering choice he fears is no longer waiting in the distance. It's already at their door. Jamie steps outside again, not because he wants fresh air, but because something in him refuses to stay still. The world feels different, quieter, yet heavier, as if the earth is holding its breath. According to the leak, this isn't just a normal morning. It's the beginning of a shift that Jamie can feel deep in his bones. The kind of shift that always comes before everything changes. He walks down the small path behind the cabin, letting the cold wind bite at his skin. Every sound seems sharper. Distant birds, the rustle of branches, even the crunch of frost under his boots. But what pulls his attention is the absence of one familiar sound. Peace. There is no peace in him today. The leak suggests that Jamie senses he is being watched, not by an enemy, but by fate itself. As if every step he takes is leading him closer to the moment he fears most. A sudden movement catches his eye. It's nothing more than a deer slipping through the trees, but Jamie's hand goes straight to the knife at his side. His instincts are sharper than ever. The leak says that lately Jamie has felt danger closing in on them, not in one clear shape, but in small, creeping moments that never used to make him flinch. Something is changing around him. All his warrior instincts are waking back up. He stops at the edge of the forest, where the trees grow thick and the shadows seem deeper than they should. This is where the dreams begin to feel real. Jamie closes his eyes for a moment, and the memory of the dream returns, not as a blur, but as a warning. In the dream, he stood in this very place. The world dimmed around him. Someone called his name, not Claire, not Brianna, but a voice he could not place. A voice that carried fear. A voice that demanded he choose. As he opens his eyes, the forest looks the same but feels wrong. As if the dream has followed him into waking life. And then he sees it prints in the dirt. Not animal. Not fresh. But human. Ah! The leak suggests these tracks belong to someone headed toward the cabin in the night.
Out.
Someone who watched them quietly, unseen. Jamie kneels down, his expression turning cold and focused. The prints are shallow, suggesting the person carried little weight. Possibly a messenger. Possibly a scout. But why come so close and leave no message behind? Why watch from the shadows? Chill moves through Jamie, but not from fear. From certainty? The leak says Jamie realizes these tracks are tied to the dream. The warning wasn't just in his mind. Someone is coming. Someone who carries news that will force the choice he has been dreading. He rises slowly, his jaw tightening, eyes scanning the tree line. The shadows don't move, but the silence around him deepens. The danger isn't attacking, yet it's waiting. Waiting for the moment, Jamie steps back inside the cabin, unaware that with one knock on the door, his life will split into a before and after. Jamie returns from the edge of the forest with a stiffness in his shoulders. The kind that comes only when a man knows trouble is no longer far away, is walking straight toward him. The tracks he found cling to his mind like a shadow that refuses to fade. The leak says Jamie tries to bury the worry before stepping inside. But fate has already moved a piece on the board, and the next move is no longer his to avoid. He is halfway to the door when he hears it. The steady rhythm of hooves cutting through the morning silence. Not hurried, not chaotic, but purposeful. Someone is approaching with intention. Jamie stops, his breath sticking in his chest for a split moment. Claire steps outside too, sensing the shift in his posture, before she even notices the rider in the distance. The figure becomes clearer as he draws near. A man cloaked in dark wool, shoulders stiff, head down, not a soldier. Not a friend, but a messenger, and messengers rarely bring comfort. The leak suggests this man is carrying a letter sealed with A mark Jamie hoped never to see again, one tied to a promise, a debt, or a danger that reaches far beyond the ridge. Jamie's hand falls slowly to his side, fingers curling. He doesn't reach for a weapon, but his body's ready, the way a warrior prepares without a word. When the rider stops in front of them, there is no greeting, no polite delay. Reaches into his coat and pulls out a folded parchment, edges worn, seal cracked from travel. He looks at Jamie the way someone looks at a man who is about to lose something precious. "This is for you," he says, voice low, carrying the weight of miles and the heaviness of whatever is written inside. The leak hints that even Claire's breath falters when she sees the tremor in the messenger's hand. Not fear of Jamie, fear of the message. Jamie takes the parchment, turning it over in his hands. His thumb brushes the seal, and for a moment, he hesitates. A heartbeat later, he breaks it open. The air seems to thicken as he reads, eyes moving sharply across the page. Claire watches every flicker of emotion in his face, confusion, disbelief, anger, and finally, a kind of grief that tightens his jaw. The leak says the letter carries news from far beyond the ridge, news tied to a man Jamie once made a promise to, a promise that now demands he leave Claire again. The words strike him like a blow, not because of the danger involved, but because of the timing. Claire rests her hand on his arm, asking the question she already fears the answer to. "What is it, Jamie?" Jamie swallows hard. The decision forming inside him is the very one he hoped would never come. The messenger shifts uneasily, knowing his task is complete, but the consequences are only beginning. He clears his throat and adds one final detail. One that is not written in the letter, but delivered face to face because of its weight. "They said if you do not come, it may cost a life." A silence. Heavy, deep, world-stopping silence. Jamie looks toward the forest once more, as if the answer is hidden in the shadows, waiting for him to claim it. Claire squeezes his arm, searching his eyes for the truth he wishes he could soften. The leak says this is the moment Jamie realizes he cannot escape the choice any longer. The path is opened, and stepping onto it means walking away from the one person he swore never to leave again. Claire watches the messenger ride away until he disappears between the trees. But her eyes linger long after he's gone. The wind has stilled. Even the birds seem to sense the shift in the house. Jamie stands frozen, the letter hanging loosely from his hand, his breath caught somewhere between dread and duty. Though he hasn't spoken yet, Claire already knows the truth. Whatever was written in that letter has torn something open inside him. She steps closer, gently taking the parchment from his hand. Her fingers brush his, and she feels the tension humming beneath his skin, cold, heavy, relentless. Claire unfolds the letter, but she doesn't need to read all of it. The meaning is clear from the first lines. Someone from Jamie's past is calling him back, pulling him toward a promise made long ago, a promise wrapped in danger, a promise demanding sacrifice. The leak says Claire feels something she rarely allows fear. Not fear for herself, but fear of losing him again. They have survived battlefields, time, oceans, and death itself. But every time Jamie is called away by honor, destiny seems eager to test them once more. And now, standing in the doorway of their quiet home, Claire feels the old ache returning, the ache of separation. Jamie finally speaks, voice low and uneven. He doesn't tell her everything, not yet. He only says, "They need me." But Claire hears the rest in the silence, after his words. She hears the danger. She hears the risk. She hears the choice he is about to make. Inside the cabin, the fire cracks sharply, almost interrupting them. It's a small sound, but it carries the truth neither of them wants to say aloud. Their peace is slipping. Claire tries to steady her voice, asking him what going would mean. How long he would be gone? Whether he would come back? But Jamie doesn't answer right away. His gaze drifts to the sword resting against the wall, the same sword he touched before dawn. As if somehow he already knew this moment was coming. The leak suggests that Jamie hesitates not because he doubts his duty, but because he fears the cost. He turns toward Claire, and the look in his eyes makes her chest tighten. It's the same look he had when he sent her through the stones. When he left her during the war, when he believed he might never see her again. It is the look of a man preparing for loss. Claire steps closer and places her hand on his heart. "Whatever this is, we face it together," she whispers. But Jamie shakes his head just slightly. Not in disagreement with her, but with the truth he now carries. The leak says he cannot bring Claire into what awaits him. This mission, this call from the past, is meant for him alone. Ian enters quietly from outside, sensing the heavy tension. His eyes move between Jamie and Claire, then to the letter lying open on the table. He sees enough. Without needing explanation, Ian asks, "Do they mean to go?" And Jamie's silence becomes the answer. Claire's heart sinks, though she stands firm. She knows Jamie's honor. She knows his loyalty. She knows the kind of man he is, the kind who would walk into fire if someone he cared for needed him. And now, as the shadows inside the house grow long, Claire realizes something painful. Jamie's choice has already begun. The moment he read that letter, the path opened, and destiny expects him to walk it. But the leak hints at something more. Something Claire senses, even if she cannot name it yet. This time, Jamie's journey may not simply threaten their future, it might unravel everything they've built. And if he goes, the world they share may not be the same when he returns. Jamie stands at the center of the cabin as though the floor beneath him has turned into a crossroads, two paths stretching out, neither offering peace. The letter lies open on the table, but the weight of it presses on his chest like iron. Ian studies him quietly from the corner, while Claire moves slowly, almost cautiously, as if she's afraid that any sudden motion might push Jamie closer to a decision she cannot bear. The leak suggests that this moment is not loud or dramatic. There is no shouting, no argument. Instead, everything is hushed, still painfully fragile. It's in this silence that Jamie's true struggle becomes clear. He is not choosing between danger and safety. He has faced danger his whole life. What he is choosing between now is love and duty, and, for Jamie Fraser, that choice has never been simple. He picks up the letter again, tracing the ink with his thumb. Every word pulls him toward his past award, a promise he made before the Ridge, before the revolution, before peace found them. A promise he hoped time would bury. The leak hints that the man calling for Jamie's help once saved him, once risked everything for him. To ignore this call would be to deny a debt of honor. And Jamie Fraser is not a man who forgets what he owes. Claire watches him, her eyes soft but clouded with fear. She steps closer, searching his face for any sign that he might stay. But Jamie's expression is already shifting into the one she knows too well, the look of a man preparing to leave. The look that breaks her heart every time. She asks him, in the quietest voice, "If you go, when will you return?" Jamie closes his eyes. The answer forms in his throat but refuses to escape. Because he doesn't know, and because the truth that he might not come back at all would crush Claire more than any danger he faces. Instead, he opens his eyes and says, "I'll return as soon as I'm able." It is not a promise. It is a hope. A fragile, trembling hope. Ian steps forward, offering to go with him. His loyalty is as fierce as ever, but Jamie hesitates. This isn't a journey he can simply drag Ian into. The leak says the mission is tied to secrets Jamie has never spoken, wounds no one else has seen. Taking Ian would put him in the path of dangers that belong to Jamie alone. Claire senses his hesitation. She sees the conflict in him, his desire to protect everyone he loves, and his need to answer the call of his honor. And so, she says the words she never wanted to speak. "If you must go, then go. But do not walk away without letting me understand why." Hush. Jamie turns to her fully now, the weight of his choice burning in his eyes. He tells her that the man who sent the message once saved his life at the cost of his own safety, that he owes him more than words can repay, and that now this man faces death unless Jamie comes. Claire feels the floor tilt slightly under her. She understands now not just the danger, but the depth of the bond pulling Jamie away. And yet, even with understanding, the fear inside her grows. Because the world has taken Jamie from her before, and each time, fate tried to make it permanent. When Jamie speaks again, his voice cracks just slightly. "Claire, I can't turn my back on it. Not when he once saved me from losing the..." Those words cut deeper than any blade. Claire's breath shakes as she realizes the truth. Jamie's choice isn't just about honor. It's about the part of him that lives to protect the ones he loves. The part fate keeps testing. The part that will drag him into danger again and again, no matter how much it costs. The leak states that in this moment, Claire does not try to stop him. She simply steps forward, resting her forehead against his, eyes closing as her hands hold his face. It is a silent plea, a quiet prayer, a moment carved out of time itself. And though Jamie hasn't spoken the final words yet, they both know it. The choice is made. The path has already opened, and Jamie Fraser is about to walk into the unknown once more. Night falls slowly, as if the sky itself senses the weight of the moment settling inside the cabin. The fire burns low, casting long shadows across the walls, shadows that stretch and twist like echoes of the future Jamie is about to step into. The leak suggests that this final scene of Episode 1 builds its tension not with action, but with silence. A silence filled with unspoken fear, unspoken love, and a decision that can no longer be undone. Jamie stands by the doorway, his packed saddlebag resting at his feet. He hasn't said the word goodbye, but the room already feels like a farewell. Claire sits at the table, her hands clasped tightly, knuckles white, as she tries to steady the storm inside her chest. She looks up at him not with anger, not with bitterness, but with the deep ache of someone who understands that love sometimes demands the cruelest patience, the leak says. Jamie takes one slow step toward her, as if crossing the room requires more strength than any battle he's fought. He kneels beside her chair, taking her hands gently into his. His touch trembles, not from fear of the road ahead, but from fear of leaving behind the one person who is his world. "Claire," he whispers, voice rough, "if I could stay, I would." Tears threaten, but Claire blinks them away. She cups his face, holding him still, needing these last moments to feel real, branded into memory. "You come back to me," she says softly, a promise and a plea combined into one fragile thread. "No matter how far you go, you find your way back." Jamie nods, but something in his eyes reveals the truth he cannot speak. He doesn't know if fate will allow it. Every journey he has taken was marked by danger, loss, or sacrifice. And this one feels different, heavier, sharper, like it carries a consequence even he cannot outrun. The leak speculates that before he stands, Jamie presses a kiss to her hands, then her forehead, holding her as if this moment must sustain them both for however long he's gone. Ian waits outside with the horses, giving them space, but even from a distance. He feels the tension in the air, a crack in their world that may never fully mend. Jamie rises slowly, shoulders squared, eyes shadowed with a pain he will not allow himself to speak aloud. He reaches for the doorknob, pausing as if hoping destiny might change its mind before he steps out. But destiny does not bend. Not for warriors. Not for lovers. Not even for time travelers. He looks back one final time. Claire stands now, one hand pressed to her heart, her breath shallow, her eyes shining. The two of them hold each other's gaze across the room, 1,000 memories in one glance, 1,000 fears in one breath, and then Jamie turns and steps outside. The night swallows him gently. The path stretches ahead, dark, uncertain, merciless. Claire moves to the doorway, watching him mount his horse. Watching the silhouette of the man she loves more than life itself begin to blur into the trees. She doesn't call after him. She doesn't break. She simply watches, because she knows that love means letting him walk into danger, trusting the bond between them to guide him back. According to the leak, the episode ends with a final, haunting image. Jamie rides into the darkness, swallowed by the night, alone with the weight of his choice. Claire stands in the warm glow of the cabin door, alone with the echo of his absence. Two souls separated by duty. Two futures uncertain. Two hearts connected by a promise strong enough to defy time, but fragile enough to fear what destiny might take next. And as the screen fades to black, one truth becomes painfully clear. Jamie's journey has only begun, and nothing will ever be the same again.